see it. Class warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. And of course, good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of the internet, this electronic product created by every single one of you in the form of your taxes, but now in near control of the oligarchs, the plutocrats, those who think they have the right to run the entire nation. We have a lot to talk about today, but without further ado, let's go to the geniuses in el estudio, el señor Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba.
And good morning.
Been
talking long.
Easy.
Yeah, I've been talking long, Wednesday, February the 5th, 2025. Good morning, Egberto. I don't seem to be doing as well as I thought I was, but the tin cans and string are holding up. And we have an issue with President Trump now wanting to take over Gaza. Did you see that?
Let me tell you, one of the reporters at KPFT, as it was happening, called me. I had to tell him, hey, let me call you back. I forgot to call him back, but let me call you back. I'm listening to it because I couldn't believe what I was hearing, man.
Well,
I couldn't believe it.
There's a whole lot of that these days. We cannot believe what we're hearing or seeing. Now, how does this fix the economy? We're going to go take over Gaza, take the land, and build a, what do they call it, a Middle East Riviera.
Oh, God.
That's insane. Here we go again.
Oh, my God.
It started.
It's been started. Okay, Jack, you've got some wisdom here that'll probably make more sense than what's going on in our world right now.
Well, I just have the rest of the headlines, man, that are going out in this crazy world, and I'm going to read them.
Okay.
All right. First, the first one is, Trump vows to take over Gaza, but the point is after ethnically cleansing / killing the Palestinians, they're going to take it over. Another one is Trump orders U.S. withdrawal from UN bodies. Trump vows to punish South Africa over expropriations law. Trump's preparing an order to abolish the Department of Education. He wants a sovereign wealth fund. Man, oh man. Okay, the other one is here for Texas. It's Texas want to ban THC, but they want recreational marijuana. Make up your mind, Texas. You was talking to.
How is that going to work?
Okay, the other one is 20,000 federal workers take buyouts.
Well, the whole government is going to collapse anyway because there's not going to be anybody to run it.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah, and they go, oh, well, our government collapsed, so we need Donald Trump to step in and be a dictator and tell us what to do.
I don't know. Maybe Exxon will run it all. I don't know.
I don't know. They probably do a better job of it.
Could be.
When I talk about right-sized government, all these folks like to talk about small government. And the reason they want small government is they want they want the private sector to control everything. So I'll go into that after, but let me let you guys finish your rant.
I would say that's never a good idea. The city of Houston tried that, contracting with all these companies. It didn't work out so well for them. So that's why the government is needed. I mean, we may or may not like government, depending on which side we land on. Sometimes I like the government, sometimes I don't. But we need it to control the things that need to be controlled. Trash pickup, dead dog pickup in the road.
Yeah, they'd be good at that.
Yeah, maintaining the highways and maintaining the byways of the nation. So, it's a mixed bag with government. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it isn't good. but you still need it.
Well, the thing about government, they're actually here to protect us from corporate interests, like they
Ourselves.
used to. They're supposed to protect us, but they want to tear government down, so there's no protection.
Well, I understand that one of his edicts is to get rid of the consumer protection on things. So when you buy a product, you've got some type of protection that this product is going to be safe, it's going to work. Now that's supposed to be gone. What next, friends? Because there's always going to be a next.
Buying cars that don't work.
Well, we already do that. I can name you a few brands, but I won't.
It's sad.
Egberto, back to you, sir. Take your show.
All right,
And
thank you guys. Let me tell you, but you guys just kind of change it what I want, where I want to start. Because first of all, let me tell you what the show is supposed to be about. Then I'll go into what Howard and Jack made me do. Okay, so it starts like this. The title of the show is supposed to be Trump's proposing Gaza ethnic cleansing. Ali Velshi exposes DEI lies, and Trump tax plans screw us all. Okay, screws us all. But I want to talk a little bit about what was inferred by both Howard and Jack, and it has to do with government, small government, etc. You heard Jack talk about a lot of things that Donald Trump wants to take us out of. You hear Howard talk about what government is supposed to do, and Jack as well mentioned about government and corporations. Here's the thing: the people, there is a story that's told that regulations are bad. It makes things more inefficient, and it prevents companies from giving you a better price because they have to abide by all these regulations. And it also they also talk about how much more efficient the private sector is. Let me first tell you that it is a categorical lie that the private sector is more efficient. Take that out of your minds altogether. It's not true. There's this magical thing called profit. And profit, in effect, for the totality, profit is really an expense to you, to everybody else. I don't have a problem with profit because you can also, uh, my profit is my wages. The corporate profit is whatever they make in excess of what everything else costs. There's not a problem with profit, but when you look at the totality of things, to us, a corporate profit is an expense to us. That is the reality of how financing works. I am not trying to be anti profit or anything of that sort. I'm just talking about numbers. Now, when we talk about small government, the idea is the corporate sector doesn't want some entity looking over their shoulders to what they would consider minimize their profits. We don't have anything against profits, but we don't want profits at the expense of your health, at the expense of the environment being destroyed, at the expense of your safety, at the expense of your education. We don't want profits on the backs of people's not well being, if you will. What do I mean by that? You hear a lot of folks talking about vouchers and private schools, etc. So, what do? They ensure that schools are not as good as they could be. Then they accuse the public sector, they accuse government of being poorly managers of schools. And the solution to that is private schools paid by your tax dollars. But here's the thing, and I want you to understand this clearly. If I take public school number one and I take private school number one, first of all, the reality says if you take a look at which one does better, it is a wash. And more often so, the public schools do better than the private schools in the aggregate. Meaning, take all private schools, take all public schools, etc. But here is the kicker, folks. That is to be expected. Why? If you have a private school when they hire teachers, here, let's just use Texas as an example, they don't have to be as accredited as teachers in public schools. They don't get the medical care, the health care that teachers in public schools get. In other words, public schools teachers get a lot of benefits for being teachers, and private school teachers don't get the kinds of benefits they get that these public school teachers get. And again, the public school teachers have to be more accredited than the private school teachers. But then there's another thing. There's something called a profit. And whether it is a non-profit private school or not, the administrators of these private schools and get large salaries. And if it's one that is for profit, they get to pay their shareholders monies, etc., etc., etc. Which means for the private schools, one of the items on their expense lines would be the shareholders getting paid, the executives getting paid, the advertising to get people to come to that school having to be paid. All of that is coming out of the budget to educate. In the public schools, there is no advertising to be done. There are no shareholders holding the value for these schools. And and again, the teachers make more, of course, and they're more accredited. If you look at what we say in capitalism always, is you get what you pay for. That is, if you have better paid teachers in the public sector, do you think you're going to get the same caliber of teachers in the private sector? Of course not. So then why is it that we have bad public schools? Because again, we want to make certain public schools as bad as possible to incentivize the public to support things like vouchers, things like private schools, etc. And I can put this behavior in just about everything that we try to privatize. Transportation. When we talk about having private buses and private trains, etc., within for mobilizing people around the city, it could never be as efficient as having it in the public sector. But what we do is we try to starve the public sector of tax dollars, allow the private sector to come in, and then they get to charge you whatever they want to charge you because they have to make a profit, because they have to have advertising, because they have to pay their executives, because they have to pay their shareholders. Anytime somebody tell you that the private sector does everything better than the public sector, they're lying to you, they're feeding a narrative so that you will act on that false narrative. We can go to transportation, we can go to education, we can go to all these other features. Now, when we go to regulations, why must we have regulations? It's always easier to dump your waste into a river unfiltered, without first being processed to remove its dangerous particles, etc. If we don't have regulations that say you can't dump things of this nature in your rivers, it is dumped. If you don't have regulations that say you can't pump crap into the ground that later on pollutes the water table, it gets done. Because the capitalists, the private sector, their sole goal is to maximize profits. Am I saying profit is bad? No. I am saying that we have to protect against bad private sector actors. And that is called regulations. And that is also called making sure we take care of humanity first. So again, when we talk about the public sector, there are certain things that should remain in the public sector. That becomes education, which we don't want people profiting off of moving the country's knowledge forward. We should have healthcare. Again, you know what happens in healthcare right now, where they simply rob you dry to keep you healthy. Energy distribution shouldn't be the oil in the ground wasn't placed there by Exxon or all these guys. We can act if we didn't have to pay shareholders, if we didn't have to pay overpaid executive bonuses, there's a lot more money that would have been there to go into research and development, dropping the price of oil and increasing our transition to energy that doesn't pollute the skies. I mean, doesn't pollute the air, that creates worse hurricanes, that creates worse damage to our planet, which then costs more. So lack of regulations allow them to pollute to make more profit. Their pollution gets us sicker. And then we pay for their overpriced products and we pay for the sicknesses that they give us. When they tell you that the private sector is more efficient than the public sector, they are lying to you. I just gave you the examples of why that is the case. Am I saying we shouldn't have a private sector? That's not what I'm saying at all. I want my pizza shop to be diverse and have all kinds of different inputs. I want innovation to come from the private sector. Whatever, if I think of something, I've invented several things myself in software. And then eventually I turned some of it over to the public domain. But again, there has to be the proper balance. You have to have the proper balance, and the balance in our country, in our Western worlds right now, is that the capitalist gets everything, and the rest are peons. The capitalist gets everything. The ones who know the least but have capital get everything, and you get very little. But what they do, because they control the media and much of education, is they have you confused and they lie to you. And so too many of us buy the Kool-Aid and believe it. Folks, we got to wise up. Thank you, Howard and Jack, for allowing me to create this short soliloquy. Let's get with the program. All right. Now, Donald Trump yesterday shocked me. Shocked the world, not me, shocked the world. Donald Trump is so, and I hate to put it this way, but I have to. I usually don't use these words like this, but Donald Trump is really dumb. Donald Trump thought he was saying something great yesterday when he actually said, one, why would these people want to move back to this land that were destroyed? I want to set the picture up. There is Donald Trump on a podium with Benjamin Netanyahu. I want to let you guys see what the rest of the world saw. First, I'm going to tell you, Donald Trump says we need to clear out all the rubble out of Gaza because that's a hell of a hellified place to live. There are unexploded bombs and people, I mean, it is just a ratchet place for people to live. Why would anybody want to go back to Gaza? Why would anybody want to do that? It's ridiculous. What we need to do is Egypt and Jordan need to take all these Palestinians, and then we turn the Gaza Strip. The Americans will take over the Gaza Strip and own it. Yeah, we will own the Gaza Strip. I don't know. Netanyahu is looking there very suspiciously, right? We will own the Gaza Strip and we'll create the Middle East Riviera. And Donald Trump think he was saying something sensible. Number one, he wants to know why people want to return to the land. Why do Jewish people want to return to the Garden of Eden? Why do the indigenous folks? There's an attachment to where you've been, where you grew up. I mean, why do people? It is something that Donald Trump doesn't have the ability to feel. He is an empty vessel, an empty character. He cannot see that these people that have lived in this land for centuries, for millennia, they don't want to go and move into Jordan. They don't want to go and move into Egypt. They want Palestine, where their families and their families grew up. That's what they want. You know, that is almost like After we've been here for 300 years in America, after having taken the land from the indigenous people, how do you feel if somebody tells you, leave Arkansas, leave North Dakota, like you told the indigenous folks to leave? You know how difficult that is, that attachment? And then to come in and say, and you're going to turn it into the Riviera for the privilege to be able to take advantage of. So that's problem number one. That problem is a philosophical problem, a moral problem there. But the second thing that I saw, as I saw the war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu sitting down to the sitting or standing next to the convicted felon Donald Trump. It's amazing, right? A war criminal next to a convicted felon. As I saw them standing next to each other, all I could think of is, my God, that is a terrible scene. We look at the guy who blew up all those buildings, Netanyahu, who killed the 40,000 plus Palestinians, standing next to the president of the United States. The president is saying that place is a mess. It's all bombed out. Standing next to the guy who bombed it out. But here's the worst case. Using the bombs that we, the people of America, created and that Biden allowed to be used to create a genocide. Do you understand that picture that was standing there? Do you understand what the rest of the world saw? While we were taught to look at that and to look at people as the other, do you know what people in the Middle East saw? Do you know what people in Panama saw? Do you know what people in Costa Rica saw? Do you know what people in Dominican Republic saw? Do you know what the Cubans saw? Do you know what every place where America went in and bombed the smithereens out of? Do you know what they saw? Do you know the memories that brought back? When I saw that picture of Netanyahu, the war criminal who blew the Gaza up into smithereens, and I look at Panama and I look at Chorrillo and what the United States bombed out Chorrillo, bombed out Colón, bombed out parts of when I see the picture, that's what the rest of the world sees. It's not that they hate us because they don't want our freedom. It has nothing to do with freedom. It's they hate what you have done to my people over and over and over again. Dead people, maimed people, people who've lost their eyes, their arms, and you have a suited war criminal standing next to a convict talking about creating the Riviera out of the blood, the bones of innocent children, innocent women, innocent men, the blood, the bones of that are under those buildings right now. Do you get the picture? Do you see what the rest of the world sees? And please, I have sympathy for my Jewish brothers and sisters who were murdered in a terrorist attack. 1,200 murdered. But then Netanyahu used that as an excuse to create a genocide. And then Donald Trump, after that genocide was created, after that place was bombed out, Donald Trump comes out like, why would they want to go back? After all, it's all bombed out. Standing next to the man who bombed it out. Standing next to the man who effected a genocide. Two criminals on the stage. That's what the rest of the world saw. Folks, we are in a very bad place. And with that picture that's around the world now, every American's traveling around the world is in danger. Every American traveling around the world is in danger. Hell, every American sitting here in the United States, there are wackos out there that are going to say, wait a minute. So you look at the genocide that occurred in Gaza and you don't think it's bad? Folks, we have to smarten up and understand what is going on out there. We have got to smarten up. When I saw what happened, when I looked at that stage, my belly turned, my stomach churned. All I saw was memories of Chorrillo burning. Chorrillo ardió como Berlín. That is a song by Rubén Blades, the great Panamanian singer who acted on Saint Elsewhere, one of the medical programs here, Panamanian. And even as he came and uh, he remembered that Chorrillo ardió, it burned. Gaza ardió. Folks, I wish more of us could have the empathy to understand what that picture yesterday with Netanyahu standing next to Trump, a convicted felon next to a war criminal. That is the picture centered around the world. Come on in, Jeff. Line number 1. Come on in, Jeff. All right, we'll get it there pretty soon. Pretty soon. It's coming. There we go. Jeff, you're on. Brother Jeff, come on in.
Hey, Egberto, what's going on?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me, my brother.
You know, yesterday when Brian called in, he was talking. Brian tends to rant a little bit, and I'll give him that. But I want to thank Brian for his service in the greatest fighting force in the world has ever known, the United States Marine Corps. I sleep better at night knowing that they are on guard, protecting us from foreign hostile enemies. And you've been ranting about the military just this morning and bombing and all that. The world only understands power, and we need to get back to our power, being a leader in the arms and the military.
I'm going to let you finish, but I just want to correct one thing. The world only understands power. We are 4.5% of the world. There are a lot of the world all over the earth. And the rest of the world around the earth, all the 200 something countries that you never hear of. You never hear of interventions, you never hear of any these kinds of warring, etc. And I don't know about you, but I read papers from all over the world throughout the week. I don't understand this militaristic view that the world only understands power. Because believe it or not even Americans only understand power. Americans want to live their daily lives in peace and loving on each other. It's just a testosteronic group of capitalists that always think that we need power to take that which isn't ours. So my question to you is, who has recently tried to bring an armada over here to the United States with ships and try to take this land that we took from the indigenous? Who is trying to come over the Mexican border or the Canadian border to inflict harm on us? Who has tried to inflict harm on us? And I want you to be rational and answer that. There is nobody trying to inflict harm on the United States. Go ahead, sir.
Well, let me answer that. Look at the crisis at the border. I mean, before you interrupt, let me just finish. The crisis at the border. We're being flooded. We don't know what's coming across there, and the only reason they haven't invaded America is because we've had a strong military, and nobody's going to mess with us. I was going to use another word, but I'm not allowed to on the radio. So that's what a lot.
That's okay. Now I made you answer that. So now let me reply to you. That's a lie. Okay. The reason why others haven't come, it has nothing to do with a strong military. It has everything to do with people migrate out of need. And I wish you would go another level of indirection in your thought process. Ask yourself, the people that you see coming over the southern border, why are they coming? And that's a specific question that I want an answer for from you, sir. Why? Wait, yeah, let me pose the question so you understand it. Why are those people that are coming across the border coming?
because their own government has failed them, and they
Okay,
can't pull
good.
their own
Good
bootstraps
answer.
up.
Very
And
good
I'm going to
answer.
leave it at
No,
that.
no, no.
I'm going to
Hold. No,
leave
no,
it
no, no. Stop,
at that.
stop. Very good answer. Very good answer. Very good answer. The next question is, why are their governments failing?
Because the people won't retaliate and throw the bums out.
Okay, so wait a minute. We
No,
here in we in America haven't thrown the bombs out. We in America, we have income and wealth inequality because the capitalists have stolen your money. Jeff.
you're digressing there, though.
No, no, no. I'm
You're
not. No, no, no. They're all involved, and that's
comparing
why I
us
said,
to them.
okay, stop. The reason I'm telling you, we have to change our thought process, critical thinking. One of the things that we have not continued to learn in school is critical thinking. You said that you gave some very good answer, which is on the first layer. Perfect answers. You said they're coming because your government are screwing up. I ask you why the government are screwing up. You're telling me that the people have not reacted. And also, you're right about that. We here in America as well need to react to stop the theft that is occurring by our capitalists, etc. The people in Panama, in South America, etc., needs to do the same. There has been some mental gymnastic that has done, and evidently worked with you as well, that prevents us from doing that. Right? We create policies in Panama, create policies in Costa Rica, and all these things that actually affects their economy to enhance our economy. And because of that, those people are looking in the aggregate for a better life, something that the people who founded America did as well. When the pilgrims came here, why did they come again? They were looking for a better life. Unfortunately, unlike the people that are coming south of the border, the people south of the border are not coming to kill and maim and take. They're coming to work. And that is what you fail to understand. These people that are coming south of the
Roberto,
border. Wait, I'm not.
I've got to get to work. I've got to get.
Okay, well,
I've got
you
to
go
get
to
to
work.
work.
We'll talk another time. Thank you very much. Let's go to Patrick. Come on in,
But I
Patrick.
just want to
No,
thank
no, no, no,
Brian
no.
for
You got nope. You're not going to leave with the last word on that one, sir. Come on in, Patrick.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, sir. Talk to me, my brother.
I'd also like to thank Brian for his service, and I hope he did it for the right reasons. For the last caller, the idea that power is what people respond to is a myth, and
Exactly.
the idea that we're successful because of our military is also a myth. I'd like to point out that our last quote unquote successful we don't even call them wars anymore because they won't even go to Congress to get permission to do it. But our last successful conflict was Korea. We can do the math, and that's right around 80 years, isn't it?
Patrick, I want to interrupt you for one reason, and I always agree with you. This one, I'm not sure that ended in an armistice, right? I would say our last successful one was World War II, but I'll defer to you, sir. Continue.
Well, then I'll take that loss, and I'll even say that okay, Korea wasn't really successful either. Um, it's gotten us nothing. And then what we've talked about on this program is that BRICS is the fastest growing economic coalition there is, and they're becoming the largest. They haven't done it with military might. They haven't done it with manipulation, and they haven't done it with force. They go in, they negotiate, they ask the people what they need, they give it to them, and then they get what they need.
That's why I
And
love my call. That's why I love my callers. I didn't even think about associating BRICS versus G7. Oh God, very great association, Patrick. Thank you.
now I want to switch gears, and I've kind of come to a point where I need to point out to people that it's a free country, and if you are in agreement with Trump, there's something that you need to realize. What Trump is doing is what you would exactly expect somebody to do when capitalism gets to a point where it can no longer sustain itself.
Right.
If we can no longer sustain immigrants and we have to kick them out, there's a problem. If we can no longer afford to feed and educate our children, there's a problem. If we can no longer afford health care, there's a problem. If we can no longer afford to expect a living wage amongst all our people, there's a problem. This is what a failing system looks like. So if you think that all of Trump's positions and his actions are justified, what you're saying is that you understand that capitalism is failing and it is eating itself.
You know, Patrick, what Professor? Oh, I'm sorry. We have a slight
No, go ahead.
delay. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. What Professor Dr. Richard Wolf said on my program last week is this is what's known as end state capitalism, and it's something that happened to. It happened in feudalism, it happened in slavery, and now it's happening in capitalism because they follow the same model: slavery, feudalism, slavery, capitalism. And we are in end state capitalism where it starts to eat itself. And again, the numbers speak for it, right? As the upper class keeps taking a larger percentage of the pie, it leaves nothing for everybody else. And that's the condition we're in, which is exactly what you described there. Anything else before I jump to Roberto, Patrick?
Yeah, real fast. Privatization versus public. The public doesn't need to find money to pay off a stockholder, and if the private section can't figure out how to fairly pay off a stockholder, they will do it any way possible, and that's why you end up with a diminished worker safety, worker rights. So if you like to have dwindling rights and you want your quality of life at work to continue to decrease, privatize everything.
Exactly right. You nailed it. Thank you, my brother. All right, let's go to Roberto. See you at 3, Patrick. Let's go to Roberto.
Buenos días, amigo panameño. ¿Cómo está?
Panameño, ¿cómo está, hermano? Habla conmigo, por favor.
Aquí, buenos días. That caller called and said something about the military power and might, and that the countries are failing the people. Obviously, he's not informed how the United States have mingled in the political affairs of these said failed government that's failing the people, and they migrating in millions to come to the land of freedom and opportunity because of the mingling of the United States and these governments that have caused them to collapse, like Nicaragua, Salvador, Chile, all these places where the United States has had a hand in a whole lot of political uproar in these places. And now the government has failed the people, not because the government really or the people in charge want to fail, is the mingling of the United States in these people political affairs.
You nailed it. You nailed, Roberto. You nailed it, right? Oops, sorry about that, Roberto. You actually nailed it, though. I don't know what happened there, but you nailed it completely. And here's the deal: we're seeing it right now, right? But Trump needs a scapegoat. So what does he do? He goes. Panama has 6 major ports, I believe it is, and China made a bid on 2 of the ports, and they're running 2 ports. They don't own the ports; they're running 2 ports in Panama. And Marco Rubio and Donald Trump talk about using the neutrality clause to get back the Panama Canal after the treaty that turned over the canal to Panama. Well, Rubio went down there, and Molina, the president of Panama, in no uncertain terms said, we'll talk, we'll go ahead and show you the numbers and show you X, Y, and Z, but you ain't getting back the canal. And Rubio comes back and said, well, measures will be taken if changes aren't made immediately to what Panama is doing with the canal. And unfortunately, you also have a few Panamanians. By the way, there's the Panamanian Commission is corrupt, like our United States government run by Donald Trump is corrupt. A lot of corrupt governments around the world, but we don't try to go ahead and take away. We don't take away airports and all that kind of stuff in America because of a corrupt government. You can't do the same in Panama because there's corruption that is going on. And for those Panamanians out there who are saying, there's so much corruption, what the hell, we don't care? No, you better care. But anyway, thank you for that, my brother. Let's go to brother Augie. Come on in, Augie.
Good morning. The guy who just called praising Brian, he doesn't know what he's talking about, how he can sleep better under this American military force. The American military force has been gutted by the Republicans under Ronald Reagan. They didn't just shut down bases. They cut down the American military forces. They shut down whole units, and they created a committee to shut them down, called BARC, the Basis Assessment and Realignment Committees. They hired a committee. The politicians are some cowards. The Republicans are cowards. They couldn't do it themselves. They had to put the blame on somebody else. Oh, we're not cutting down the military. Or the committee we made is cutting down the military. If this guy is so proud of American military, the recruiters can't find enough Americans willing to go into the military. They have immigrants that are in our American military. They have immigrants that have fought with the Marines and the Army in the Middle East. Over 1,600 immigrants were in military forces fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan because not enough Americans wanted to fight. And just like there were a bunch of American draft dodgers during Vietnam, just like George W. He was a draft dodger when he was to the National Guard.
So was President Trump.
Yeah, and the private enterprise system didn't work after Saddam was kicked out in Iraq and the Americans won. The Iraqi people were reestablished in their infrastructure. They reestablished their communication system, except that our president said, Don Cheney, he sent Halliburton and told the Iraqis, no, you cannot reestablish your communication system after they had already reestablished it, after it had gotten bombed out. He said, no, Halliburton's got to do it. Well, Halliburton never got it done, and Halliburton also killed American Special Forces because they had to build the American bases that the American forces were at. They killed Special Forces guys taking a shower in these metal buildings. Halliburton construction guys forgot to ground them. And that's the basic thing, that when you build something like mobile homes, they have to be grounded here. So we used to have to work on mobile homes, putting in phone lines. And the first thing we look at is make sure that trailer is grounded. Because if it's not, if it's rain or the grass is dewy, and you put your hand on that, you're going to get shot.
Electrocuted, yeah.
Right.
Absolutely, Augie, but absolutely. Look, let me tell folks, America is a great country, but there are a whole lot of people in it screwing it up. So we got to keep our eyes open. Thank you, Augie. I got a few more calls that I got to get in with this time. So thank you so kindly, my brother. All right, let's go to Betty. Come on in, Betty, or beautiful Betty, Sister Betty. Talk to me.
I wanted to say, good morning, Alberto. Wanted to say something about the immigrants. They're still here. The street, some of the street people, they have working cars, and they pick them up and drop them off so they can work. And street people knows the hideaway roads. They're helping them, and they're still here. And hopefully, we'll stay here and be able to stay here and not get thrown away, is what I call it. And on Trump in the Gaza, we will pay, maybe with their life, because the Middle East, they're not sitting still. They're putting their plan on full speed now. It's like Bin Laden. They've been having a plan always, and now they're putting it on full speed. Trump's going around strutting himself. He is the troublemaker, and he is the reaper.
Thank you, sis.
Bye-bye. Huh?
Love you, girl. You have a wonderful one, sis. You take care, okay? All right, let's go to Brother Jimmy. Come on in, Jimmy.
Good morning, Egberto. I have two topics. First of all, I'm shocked that President Trump shut down U.S. aid. It was helping poor countries all over the world with medicine, with education, with food. That's one of the most important things our country's doing, and he shut down paying for the medicine and the aid. Shocking. The other topic is that these poor countries, the main thing they need is more education. With more education, they can start businesses, they can hire people. And that includes the United States. I'm pushing for free tuition in public colleges. That would raise our educational level. People would make smarter decisions, get better jobs, make more money, pay more taxes. So let's push for free tuition in public colleges. We can afford just like we're paying for education through high school now, add 4 more years of college.
I agree with you 100%, my brother Jimmy. One of the reasons that we want to keep people uneducated is uneducated are people or people that are ill-informed are much easier to control. So I think, sir, as usual, you nailed it. Anything else, Jimmy, before I jump to Derek?
Keep up the good work. Trump is doing things every day that are shocking to the world. And you're right, he's a criminal. And that part about taking over Gaza is pretty crazy.
Thank you, brother. You have a wonderful day, Jimmy. Let's go to Derek. Come on in, Derek. Brother Derek on the line.
Hey, good morning. This may be kind of uncomfortable for some, but, I'm tired of this boogeyman made up depiction of we are all good and the rest of the world is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Your question of why are the people coming, it is so revealing that the lack of understanding of Americans' foreign policy and in the meddling, as one of the brothers said earlier.
That was Roberto, yeah.
Yeah, Roberto. I mean, it's a case of the chickens coming home to roost now. There will be no outside forces to destroy America. Get that out your head. Stop telling that lie. Your problem is going to be from within. Trump is weakening the impenetrable protective walls of the United States. Then the forces of nature is getting more ferocious by the hour. The people are growing restless as Trump is creating a barrier to trap and isolate the American people in. I mean, why? Look, Alberto, you got two sides. You got the Atlantic, and then you got the Pacific. Then you got the Gulf of Mexico, as what they trying to call the name of it, Gulf of America. Then you got Mexico and Canada. Can't you see that this fool is trapping us in here? And pretty soon, if they don't stop this, where are you going to go in the rest of the world? Because don't nobody going to want you. That's all I call to say, bro.
Thank you, my brother. Wise words, wise words. Have a great day, my brother. Let's go to Brother Bart. Come on in, Brother Bart.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. These last two calls are way off. Jimmy, this U.S. aid was found out. It's caught. It's stopped. America's decline is over. We don't owe the world anything. We found out that this is a money laundering Democrat department that was doing what they want with the money. They're putting on tranny puppet shows in Peru and writing tranny comic books. They were spending money on this stuff. This is our money. This is taxpayer money. We don't owe the world anything.
All right, let me just tell you, Bart, do you realize, Bart, do you realize how gullible, my brother, you really are? To believe that a $40 billion organization, that everybody out there can see the USAID, what USAID has been doing throughout the world. And for some reason, there is Musk and his 19-year-olds use some AI to find some keywords in certain grants that include those words. And you, with your gullibility, my dear brother, you just believe that this professional organization that helps all over the world and in helping around the world also helps with our security and the well-being of the traveling American public. In other words, you want your family to be able to travel into Africa, into Asia, into Europe, into all these other places. You want them to travel and feel safe, have goodwill towards America. That's USAID. But no, in the shallow thinking that you have allowed them to inflict on your mind, you come out with a small form of thinking that form of thinking endangers America. Goodbye. Have a great day, Bart.
Oh, you're
Moses, come on in, Moses.
I'm going to say one thing. Americans, you have your eyes wide shut. You've been warned. There's no excuse. Take care. You don't have to beg a Mexican to dig a hole in the wall, to drag you through, to deliver you from the trap that Trump is making for every American, black, white, and everybody. Take care. You don't have to become refugees as the other refugees that you are pushing away. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Moses, don't go yet. Let me just say this because you said no matter who you are, which is what is so important. You know my phrase, whenever we unite the barrios, the ghettos, and Appalachia, we win. And here's the reason why. The other subject that I'm supposed to cover today that I won't get to is about the tax plans and how they're working on finding this $2 trillion that they need over the next 10 years, right? And when I look at all the programs that they're talking about slashing, who do you think it affects the most? White MAGA supporters of Trump. So they are signing their own demise. And I'm looking at these things. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, my God, why isn't critical thinking critical? Go ahead, Moses.
And just as one of the other callers just said, when your neighbor's house is on fire, you better take water and wet yours.
Exactly.
Because it will be. But again, what Americans fail to realize, this has been looming before their faces.
Mm-hmm.
And we had several examples. We looked at the South Koreans and we saw they stood up, they saw the danger, and they took care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Several other examples. But here again, in the United States, what they did, Donald Trump and these people have started this thing a long time ago, before him. This is something they have been planning. And it has been coming through, and we have been blind, just like a mongoose. The mongoose will stand up in front of the chicken, and it will dance and dance and dance, and the chicken is mesmerized until it gets close to the chicken, and he'll snatch the chicken and eat it. That's what we have become.
Thank you.
We saw Donald Trump cursed, and he danced, and he did all. We are there standing, and then we are rejoicing, and all the time he's coming forward to destroy the land. And Donald Trump and his goons are the ones who are dismantling America. And the American people, the world will look at you. They will laugh. And when you run to the border, they will not let you in because you have been isolated. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Moses. I think you nailed it. But again, the critical thinking is so important, and we've reached a point where we still have over 50% of America that's thinking straight. But unfortunately, it's not distributed the best way. Come on in, Brian. Brian, I think you're on. Okay, well, not yet. You'll be on in a minute. Let's see. Brian, you're on.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. You know the reason why Biden was not prosecuted for top secret documents hidden away in his office?
I tell you, Brian, when you call, just give your statement instead of asking me a question. So what's your statement?
Okay, well, you can look up CNN 8:24 Central Time, February 8th, 2004. You can find out why he was not prosecuted. Because he's a feeble old man that can't remember. During the statement, 140 times he said, "I don't remember." Who's running this country?
Brian, how does that add to our discussion? How does that add to the discussion that's going to make America better? Biden is now history. Okay, Biden, we have a lot of important things that are happening in America right now. Is there anything you'd like to talk about that will help move us forward?
Yes, the immigrants that you call their so-called innocents, who is being deported? Criminals or farm workers?
They all
Criminals.
are. Well, actually, that's not true. What happens is
It
50%
is
of
true.
listen to what I'm going to tell you now. 50% of the people that they're finding are non-criminal element, but once they find them and they're undocumented, they're also weaseled out of the country. So no, you're
Yes.
absolutely
Are they
wrong
here
about that.
illegally?
Right.
Are they here illegally?
Well, I guess
They're a
you're here.
criminal if he's here
Well,
illegally.
you're here as illegal as they are. Okay, you're for folks
Don't tell me
likely.
that.
No, I'm
Don't
telling you
tell me
that
that.
because that's a statement of fact.
Tell me that.
It's a statement of fact, my dear brother. But
And,
anyway, we're not going anywhere.
and
Goodbye.
the same.
Let's go ahead and go to to the studio. Come on in, Howard.
Okay, just another exciting day here at the radio. Good show this morning. Good conversations, right and left. So that's about all I got. Jack, you got something? He does.
Yeah, capitalism is an animal that only knows hunger, and it will devour all, even itself.
Oh, okay.
That
That.
is, you know what? You've been listening to brother our Dr. Richard Wolf. But anyhow, we got to get out of here. I see a couple calls coming in. Guys, you got to call earlier. Anyway, look, folks, love you all. politicsandright.com/newsletter is where the rest of the show is. politicsandright.com/newsletter. Thank you all for listening. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics and Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by and for the people. In 1940,